here to walk on this path, but we're here to find out the truth. Okay. There's a truth that needs to be told, and nobody's telling it. Everybody is making up excuses. Okay. Why they can't do what he says. Okay. Well, they don't know. They read the Bible. They read the Bible. So surely they understand, or maybe they were tricked. They're tricked. They've been lied to. So because they've been lied to, that's their out. Well, Yah's not buying any excuses. And I'm going to show it to you. He's not buying anybody's excuses from anybody because he always gives everyone an option. Okay. So here it is. It's in the book of Deuteronomy, and I'm going to bring you to chapter number 4. Okay. I'm going to read something to you that's going to open up our understanding. Okay. It says this, just listen very carefully what he says. Okay. Beginning in verse number 1, which I'm not going to read right now. I'm just going to tell you what he says at the end of chapter number 4. Moshe is talking to the children of Israel, and this is what he says, and we'll begin in verse number 26. He says, I'm going to call on the sky and the earth to witness against you that you will quickly disappear from the land that you're crossing the Jordan to possess. He's letting them know if you do the idols and you do all this kind of stuff and you go against anything that Yahweh said, if you add to what he said or you minimize what he said or you break his commandments in any kind of way, I'm telling you right now, I'm calling on the sky, which is the Shamayim, and the earth to witness against you. These are the two witnesses that Yah used, the strongest witness. Remember, he said, I can't convict somebody unless I have 2 or 3 witnesses. Moshe is using the strongest witnesses that he can find. And that is the sky, the Shamayim, with the clouds that are around us to give us the rain, the sun, where the sun is going through and rotating during the days, the moon and the stars. I'm calling on all of them to be a witness against you. I'm calling on the earth because she has the ability to bring forth fruit. She has the ability to bring forth increase. And so there's a relationship right between these two witnesses, and they're faithful. That means that they will do exactly what they're supposed to do. They're not a false witness. The sun comes out every single day and has been coming out ever since he talked to them until this very day that you and I are in right now. The sun has been going up and it's been going down. The moon has given her light ever since he spoke these words. There's not one star that has not shined when it's supposed to since he said these words up to this very day. These are the two witnesses that are against Israel. He's not asking for a man to witness against Israel. He used the heavens and the earth to testify against Israel. And this is going to be the two witnesses that he's going to use in the end to testify against Israel. This is who he's going to use. He says, listen, he says, I'm going to call on them against you today that you will quickly disappear. Okay. You will not prolong your days there, but will be completely destroyed. I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to completely destroy you, meaning you're not going to live here any longer. You're not going to eat here any longer. You're not going to stay here any longer. Yahweh, verse number 27, will do this to you. Listen to this. Yahweh will scatter you among the peoples and among the nations. Where, okay, among the nations to which Yahweh will lead you away. Yahweh is the one who led Israel away. Yahweh is the one who says, I'm going to destroy you. Yahweh is the one who does the scattering. It's Yahweh. And you will be left few in number. So that's what it is. So now he's telling them, I'm talking to this group of people right here in Deuteronomy chapter number 4. These are the group of individuals that survived after their ancestors went against Yah. Yah killed everybody over the age of 20 except for Joshua and Caleb. Everybody else died. He said, you guys are out of here. You're not going into the land. You're not entering to the rest. You're not going to be with me because you weren't faithful towards me. You always questioned. You tested me 10 times. You complained all the time. You really didn't want to be with me. You lied. You said you wanted a relationship and you didn't want one. Now listen to this. In 28, he says, there you will serve gods. That's what you're going to do when I scatter you. You're going to serve the gods, which are the product of human hands, made of wood and stone, which can't see, hear, smell, or eat or smell. Yah knows where he was sending us. He knows. But look what he says. However, from there, you will seek Yahweh, your Elohim, your power. You will find him if you search with him with all your heart and being. Now, is he saying that just to a few of us? Did he just choose me and you out of everybody else and say, I don't want to have anything to do with your cousins and your mother and your father and your uncles and aunts? No. Yah has loved Israel as a nation. He's loved them. He speaks more to the wicked than he does the righteous. So if he knows we're going to be exposed to these gods, then why did he send us here? If he knew that we're going to be exposed to them, he knows that we're going to be exposed to the food. He knows we're going to be exposed to the diet. He knows we're going to be exposed. He knows that we're going to profane his name. He knows all of this. And yet he still sends us here? The question is why? Why send him to a land all over the world where there's going to be other gods and they're exposed to other gods? Because that's what they wanted. They wanted to be like the other nations. They didn't want him to be their Elohim. Just like today, the individuals that are not on Zoom today or on YouTube today are the people who don't want him to be their God. They don't want him. They hate him with every fiber of their being. They hate him. And I didn't want to recognize it. I didn't want to accept it. I mean, surely they would love him. Why do I love him? Because he said, you chose to love me. I don't have any favorites. I love all of my children, but do all my children love me? We're Yah's children. You see? So when they get there, he said, you will seek Yahweh and you will find him if, it's always an if you will search after him with all of your heart and your being, meaning all of your mind. That means that we have to get to a point of learning. We have to go through education. We have to learn how to speak. We have to learn how to read. We have to be able to parse and understand how verbs work. Nobody wants that. They don't want to learn the Hebrew language. Why learn that? I'm not in the land of the Hebrews. I don't have to speak that. I can speak English and we can understand that way. When they don't understand that when the Holy One of Israel spoke to us, there's cultural significance a part of every single word that he ever spoke. There's power in every letter that he spoke. Every letter, every description. But he says, in your distress, when all these things have come upon you, in the Akarit HaMayim, for those of you don't know what it means in the last days. You will return to Yahweh, your Elohim, and listen to what he says. 31, for Yahweh, your Elohim, is merciful. I was talking to my wife this morning, I said, you know what? I'm a descendant of a person that rebelled against the Creator. And I'm worried about whether or not these people are going to make it. Yah says you're looking at the wrong way. If you're a descendant of the people who came before you and they rebelled against me, and I'm showing you mercy, I'm showing mercy for that to them. You just happen to be the beneficiary and the recipient of the benefit. It's like an inheritance. So all because my mother didn't get it, or my father didn't get it, or my grandfather didn't get it, or my grandmother didn't get it, y'all still showed them mercy. Because he gave it to me, because I'm part of them. But the way that we've been taught and the way that we've been controlled, we've been looking at each other as like, well, I'm an individual. We haven't looked at like, this is the tree that I came from. Y'all's having mercy on the family tree that I came from. He could have wiped our whole entire family out, root by root, and cut it out and never to be remembered ever, ever, ever again. But yet now I'm one of the limbs off the tree that said, okay, all the other ones didn't listen. I'm going to go ahead and take this in particular part of this tree. I'm still part of the tree. I'm a branch of it. I'm a branch of my mother and father. So is my brother and sisters. But guess what? I'm the branch that, guess what? That wants to bear fruit. I'm the one that's yielding to him. The other ones say, I don't want to bear. They refuse to do what he says. You understand? So in the Akarit Hamayim, you're going to return to Yahweh and you're going to listen to what he says. And that you right there is individual. He's merciful. That's who he is. That's part of his name. I'm going to show you mercy. The mercy to Yah is saying, listen, I could have wiped you out. I haven't done that. I'm going to come back and I'm going to get you from all the places where I scattered you. Not only would he's not going to do that, he's going to be merciful, but he also says, I'm not going to fail you. Fail me? What do you mean? That means you're going to give me a job while I'm here while I'm scattered? What we're trying to do is apply Yah's promises to a land that he says, I'm going to destroy. The people that kidnapped you are going to die according to my judgments. That's the reason why I put it in the judgments, to let you know whoever kidnapped you, I'm killing them because you're a Hebrew Israelite. Whether they have you in their possession or not, doesn't matter. They stole you and they stole my jewels. You're my treasure. So I'm going to kill those people who took my treasures. You understand? But when I'm talking about not failing you, that means I'm not going to forget you. I'm not going to leave you to these people. I'm not going to destroy you. That's my mercy. That's my mercy. I'm not going to fail you. I'm not going to destroy you. I won't forget the covenant I made with your ancestors. You understand? The one that he swore to them. So the idea that, they don't know is because they don't want to talk about this covenant that he made with our ancestors. The ones that we're talking about trying to be hopeful for, they're the ones who say that I'm only interested in the new covenant. I don't want this covenant that he made with my ancestors because it doesn't include heaven and it doesn't include eternal life. It doesn't include you can do what you want to do and be who you want to be and dress how you want to dress and eat the way you want to eat. It has to do what he told our ancestors. Now, either you're going to get with it or you're not. This is the kind of type of teaching that people don't want. They don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear him saying that you got to be holy. They don't want to hear that you got to be set apart. They don't want to hear that it's unclean for you to touch a dead body. It makes them upset when their mother dies and they can't even go to the gravesite anymore. And go there and throw flowers around and cry on the grave. It's upsetting. It's upsetting when you can't do Christmas anymore. And you got rid of your hams and all this stuff, all these decorations. And all these lights and trees and up and down and buying gifts and all this. It's upsetting. That's the reason why. They don't want to come over to him. They don't want to marry the people that he said, I want you to marry. They don't. You understand? Are you getting this? Indeed, and he told them to inquire about the past. That's what I need you to do. I need you to ask some questions. Inquiry here means to ask questions, and ask questions means to use wisdom. Wisdom is kokma. Kokma. And kok is power, and ma is a question. The power of what? Because that's what the question is. What is it? You're asking a question. You're making inquiry about the past. You need to start asking some questions about the past. Your past will tell you why everything has happened. He said, ask before you were born. Listen to this. If he's talking to them and he's telling them to ask questions about the past before you're born, Yah just killed every last one of their ancestors. So who are they supposed to ask since he just wiped out their families? Huh? Moshe's talking to the children of Israel, the second generation that lived. The ones who the parents said, oh, you're just going to take our kids and they're going to be a booty and they're going to be a spoil and you're going to bring us out here to kill us and our kids. Yeah. So who are they supposed to ask? Yah's directing this message to the children of Israel right now in the Akarith Hamayim. This message is for you because you're the ones who are in the nations. You're the ones who's been scattered. You're the descendants of these people. And Yah is telling them and us today that I'm not going to fail you when you're around in that area. I'm not going to destroy you completely. And neither am I going to forget the covenant. Because if I did forget the covenant, I would have to kill every last one of you. So when we talk about these people, the ones that hate him, you need to talk to them about this. He said, I'm not going to forget this covenant. I'm not going to forget it. We like to question and ask Yah, why? Why'd you choose me? Why did you choose my brother, my sister, my mother, and my friends? Why am I the only one listening to you? I'm so alone. I'm hurt right now. I'm desiring fellowship and I can't find it because there's nobody out there that's listening to what you're saying. Yah's not going to forget this covenant. And this is what these Christians, which I call them hybrid Christians, who want to be Hebrew and Christian, they want to hold on to all the Christian concepts about him choosing them. John chapter 15, you haven't chosen me, but I chose you. Okay. All right. No, I got bad news for everybody that's listening. You and I got to choose him. You got to choose him. There has to be some reciprocation. There can't be, I do everything for you. One of the greatest things that bothers me about anything in this life is that you can do for others and they will not reciprocate towards you, not even with a thank you. They won't even say thank you. They won't even show their appreciation by honoring what you and they had said. You can't trust anybody anymore because they don't follow these principles of the Torah. Yahweh created human beings on the earth and from one end of the heavens to the other. And has there ever been anything as wonderful? What's wonderful? What is he saying? Has there been anything as wonderful? That's the question. He's making inquiry. Has there anything as wonderful as this? As wonderful as what? Has anyone heard anything like it? That's the second question. Did any other people ever hear the voice of Elohim speaking out of a fire as you have heard and stayed alive? That's the third question. Look, these are the questions he's giving us the heads up to what the questions you and I should be asking. Or has Elohim ever tried to go and take for himself a nation? Has he taken another nation from the very bowels of another nation by the means of ordeals of signs and wonders and war and the mighty hand and the outstretched arm and great terrors like all the Yahweh your Elohim did for you in Egypt before your very eyes? That's the inquiry. That's the questions. What is he trying to get them to see? That you are a special people. Yah has never attempted to do this with any other people on the face of this earth. And the people that he did this for are the people that hate his guts. They hate him. They hate everything about him. They don't like the Shabbat. That means that they can't go out on a wonderful, beautiful, sunny Saturday and do what they want to do. It's a set apart day. They can't talk about what they want to talk about. They can continue on this drive for their own successes and their own accomplishments and their own feats and everything that they believe themselves to be. Why they're here on this earth. My Ishai said to me today, we're a created being. I said, yeah, we are. And therefore, because we're created, we have to be able to fall in line with the Creator who gives us instructions and tells us this is what you are supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to live. You understand? 35 says, this was shown to you so that you would know that Yahweh is Elohim and there is no other beside him. That's to sum it up for all of us, shouldn't it? Shouldn't we understand that it says that there's no other beside him? He mentions that he ain't going to forget the covenant. So why are we going to forget about him, that there is no other beside him? Why is it that he mentions in the same text, in the same context, that I'm going to scatter you all over the face of the earth and all the nations, and you're going to serve other gods? And then he tells us that there is no other. Wouldn't you think if you went to another place that God would tell you that, hey, there is nobody else? This is the test. And I ain't talking about the emergency broadcast system. This is the test. When you're in this land or these lands, wherever you are today, that's your test. That's your test. That's the test. To find out whether or not you and I are going to do what he says. That's what this is all about. Everything I'm telling you right now is so you can understand that this is the test. He sent us here to test us. Well, you're making that up. No, I'm not. I can show you 5 to 7 different places where he said, I tested Israel. I'm testing Israel to see if they'll do what I tell them. What better place to bring somebody to test him? What better place to find out if somebody really loves you? If they're really going to do what you say. See, when we're in the environment because he brought us to a place, our ancestors, he brought them there and just handed it to them, gave it to them. You understand? And he was hopeful that they would what? Listen to what he says. And he kept warning them and telling them. They had everything in front of them, but because they had everything in front of them, they didn't have no appreciation for nothing he gave them. They didn't appreciate him. And see, this is the problem. When we don't have an appreciation for what he's done, okay, that's where the problem's at. Yah's not asking you and I to make the sun rise, and he's not asking us to feed the birds and every other living creature. He's not asking us to command the clouds to give rain. He's not asking us to do any of those things. But listen what he says. This is in Deuteronomy chapter number 28, which has to do with the curses. Look, I just want to show you a little part of what he said. "45. All these curses will come on you, pursuing you and overtaking you until you are destroyed." Destroyed as a what? As a people. Because you didn't pay attention to what Yahweh, your Elohim, said. Observing, that means doing. That's a word that we're going to be talking about a little bit today about observation is asah. Asah means to do. Observing, not just looking, seeing with your eyes. The way that we look at observation is looking with our eyes just to see. I need you to look at his commandments. I can look at them on Sunday, or I can look on them when I want to. Mitzvot his commandments. Observing with the eyes. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about actually doing something. That means actively being involved in what he said. Nothing is a greater disappointment than for a father to tell his child to do something and they turn around and not do it. After you extended kindness and mercy and tenderness, and they turned around and broke the covenant. Do you remember what Israel said? Israel has said, every word that you have spoken, we will do it. They didn't go in that with their eyes closed and ears closed. What is their excuse? They have none. God is not going to say because you and I were not at Mount Sinai that you and I can't have no responsibility to the covenant. I wasn't there. How do you know that? How do you know that you weren't in Mount Sinai? How do you know that he has never spoken to you before? How do you know that he hasn't allowed you to go through the family line over and over and over again? How do you know that me and you are not the ones who refused to do what he said at the beginning? How do you know that? You and I don't know that. You're a soul that he could bring in a body, take out of a body, put it in another body, and keep it through the same family line. You don't even know where you come from. And you don't know where you're going. And yet, we want to ask about his dealings. Why is he not going to show mercy to these people? Because he said, I choose to show mercy whom I show mercy, and I'll give compassion to people I choose to have compassion on. Can the potter say to the clay, or can the clay say to the potter, what hast thou made us? Why'd you make it this way? Can the child is born ask the parent, why did I come out like to be a male or female? You don't get a chance to choose your parents. You don't get a chance to choose what type of kids you go get. We're part of the plan. That's all we are. We play a role in Yahweh's plan. And we're not asking the right questions. Yah says that I need you to do my commandments and my judgments that he gave you. He says these curses will be on you and your descendants as a sign and a wonder forever. This word forever doesn't mean eternity. It doesn't mean that you don't have an out. It means to a certain point in time where there's an end. When Yahweh decides that your end of your punishment is done, and then I'm done with that, then we're going to go on to something else. So forever in Hebrew doesn't always mean eternity. It means to a certain specific time or event in time. And then once it's done, it's done. Because like he says, are you going to stay angry forever? No. Yah stays angry to a certain point of time. Yahweh doesn't hold grudges either. He doesn't hold a grudge, because if he did, no one would ever be delivered. 47 is the key to everything. He says, because you didn't serve Yahweh. You didn't serve Yahweh with your Elohim, with joy and gladness. In heart, in your mind. You didn't serve him with this. When you had such an abundance of everything. An unthankful, unappreciative people show no gratitude for anything because you didn't. It's always because of something. It's not he just decided one day to wake up and be mad at Israel and put them out. Often when a parent is upset with their child, it's simply because they've done something. But guess what they do? They turn around and say that Yah hates them and say that he's unfair. You see? But he's saying it's because of what you did. You didn't serve him. We have an obligation that we haven't been living up to. We said some things, and this is what he's going to hold us to. You said that you're going to do what I asked you to do, and now all of a sudden, now you're reneging on the deal. That's what makes him angry. That you and I reneged on the deal. When we were receiving everything from him, we were happy-go-lucky. Everybody was singing songs and tambourines and everything. When he was killing their enemies and knocking everybody down, they were happy as a lark. They were blessing him and making offerings and everything to him. What went wrong? I go to several places to tell you where they went wrong. They thought it was because of their own righteousness that they received everything they received. They didn't see that he loved them. That's the reason why he gave them everything he gave them. It's because he loved them and he wanted to keep his word. And because of these things that they have done, it says Yahweh will send your enemy against you, and you will serve him when you are hungry and thirsty and poorly clothed and lacking everything. He will put a yoke of iron on your neck until he destroys you. That's what it is. If you and I are going to play games and we're going to be religious and we're going to make up excuses why we can't do what he asks us to do, Yah says, I'm going to destroy you. You're just like your ancestors. Your ancestors lied to me. They told me that they were going to do what I asked them to do, and they didn't. They didn't pay attention to nothing I said. I'm going to destroy you like I'm going to destroy them. I'm going to deal with you the way I dealt with them. I'm going to bring you out into the wilderness, and I'm going to put you to death. All the anger and frustration I felt towards your family, that I gave them mercy and compassion in a break, and I let it go for that moment, I'm not going to let it go. There's coming an end for that. I'm going to destroy you, but not completely. That's what it is. And the Elohim that you and I have been taught about, this God of the New Testament, is not the Elohim of what they would call the Old Testament. Two different Elohims. One Elohim, and you tell me which one it is. Okay? Let's play a game right quick. Let's take about 2 to 3 minutes and play a game called the New Testament versus the Old Testament. I'm going to describe some actions of a God, and you tell me which God it is. Okay? Here it is. Okay? This particular God says, I'm going to kill the innocent, and I'm going to let the wicked go free. What God is that one?
New Testament.
New Testament.
The God over here's this God says, let somebody slap you and you turn the other cheek and do nothing about it.
New Testament.
New Testament.
You get robbed. Don't say nothing.
New Testament. New Testament.
You understand? You understand what I'm saying? Now, here's another one. Go in and kill everybody that's living.
Old Testament.
Yeah. You mistreat the widow and the stranger and the fatherless, I'm going to kill you.
Okay.
That's Colorado.
You can eat anything you want. It's all clean. It's all good. No words.
New Testament.
New Testament.
New Testament.
You're going to go sleep with your fathers.
That's New Testament.
That's the Old Testament.
New Testament.
You're going to heaven where you neither have to worry about working or eating or anything no more. You get to fly around with wings like an angel.
New Testament.
You get it?
Yep.
There's some contrast here. All right. So when you hear these things, the so-called carnal nature, when the carnal nature hears, if I do this, I'm going to be put to death. You know, I could be a homosexual. And at least I got a chance in the New Testament. As a thief and a robber, I got a chance. But if I steal anything in the dark and I get killed, that person gets to get away with it. You know what? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this other God. Oh, by the way, when did you get the other God? When did that come to our people? When was he introduced? Did you receive this information while we're in the wilderness, or did you receive it when you were scattered to all the different places? When does the New Testament ever mention anything about a promise of land and descendants? Never.
It doesn't.
Doesn't mention anything about that, does it? You see? So what it is, everyone, is Yah is saying he's using the New Testament, right? The New Testament, because that's what a testament is, a testimony. It's coming from a group of people who say what they want to say. Listen to the word testament. A testament is a testimony. A testimony is from witnesses in court. So you got a group of witnesses, okay, that are over in this, what they call the new testimonies, which you're bringing a whole bunch of new witnesses. Somebody name some of those witnesses over in the New Testament for me, please, who came to the stand and gave their testimony. Let's hear it. Let's hear them.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John.
There you go. So let's start right there.
Those are
Matthew,
anonymous.
Mark, Luke, and John. Okay, so let's just take those witnesses, right? Those witnesses, by the way, they don't even know who they really are. Go do your research. They don't even know. They just put those names there. Those are pseudo names. Those are pseudos. The European church fathers about 182 AD decided, well, we don't know who really wrote this, but we're going to name them Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And when they put it down, they didn't say Matayahu. They didn't say, there's no Hebrew word for Luke. They didn't, and for Mark, they didn't put anything for Mark. There's no name Mark in Hebrew. There's no John. Well, what you have is a bunch of people that said, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and change their names to Matayahu, because that seems like that's Hebrew. We can transliterate that. Then we can also go ahead and translate the name John into Yehochanan. But if you go into their writings, it's never mentioned as Yehochanan. Just like the name for Christ, they changed his name to Yeshua. But if you go to the writings, his name is not Yeshua. His name is Jesus. But because now all of a sudden you want to make it into Yeshua, never mentioned. Never mentioned. The word Yeshua in the name for that in particular individual, his name is Jesus. That's what's written. You see? Not one time is Yeshua mentioned for his name. They made that up. And then we're so dumb that you and I go, oh, it's Hebrew. Oh, it's Yeshua. Yeah, it's Matthew. Oh, no, it's Matayahu. Yeah, okay, yeah. And then they take that same type of mindset and change his name, the creator's name. Okay? They don't have Yahweh in there. The only name that they got in there is called Kyrios or Theos. They don't have Kyrios. They don't have Yahweh. They do not have his name in there. The God of the New Testament is a different God for a different people. Their God is the God that allowed them to do the things that they're doing to the children of Israel and everybody else. That's their God. See? So we have to get out of this idea that we're serving the same God as those people that are over there. Our Elohim has made it clear that I'm going to test you. I'm going to test you to find out whether or not you will love me with all of your heart. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. Okay. You said, well, what does this have to do with teruma? We're about to get into that. Deuteronomy chapter number 13. Listen very carefully. If a prophet or someone who gets messages while dreaming arises among you, and he gives you a sign or a wonder. Okay, so he can perform signs, and he can do wonders. And the sign and the wonder comes about as he predicted when he said, let's follow other gods, which you have not known. Let us serve them. Okay, so this is the idea. They're going to do a sign and they're going to do a wonder. Okay, and they're going to mention their gods, and they're going to say, this is the God. Have you noticed that the so-called New Testament guy named Yeshua, that they coined Yeshua, which is Jesus? Did you notice that he never used Yahweh's name? He never mentions Yahweh's name, not one time, you guys. But he performed signs and he performed wonders, didn't he? Yes. And those signs and wonders came about. So guess what? He says, and let's follow other gods, which you have not known. The only Elohim that we know is Yahweh. And remember, he said, this one's going to rise among you, right? Let's go serve them. Okay. You are not to listen to what that prophet or dreamer says. For Yahweh, your Elohim, is testing you. I'm testing you to find out whether you really do love Yahweh, your Elohim, with all your heart and all your being. So you can't tell me that he's not going to send someone. He is going to send a false prophet to you and to I, and they can perform a sign and a wonder, and they will tell you. Why would he use this as a test? Because he knows this is what Israel's interested in. Israel loves signs and they love wonders. They love that type of stuff. They love magic tricks. They love it all. He said, you're not to listen to what that prophet or dreamer says, for Yahweh is testing you to find out whether or not, or you really do love Yahweh, your Elohim, with all your heart and all your being. How do you follow other gods? You follow them by subscribing to their way of life. You follow them without sometimes even knowingly, by saying, hey, I'm going to do things this way. You got a group of people you hang around and they do things a certain way. So that's your group. So you hang out with them and you just kind of go along what they do. And they're serving another God. It's like going to the Baal Peor party, where they went to the party and they met these women and they start kicking it, and they thought they were like them. Yah killed every last one of those people. He hung them up by their necks in front of the children of Israel, told them, leave them up there till the sun goes down. Because they didn't understand their role. You are to follow Yahweh, verse 4. You're not to follow other Elohims. You're to follow Yahweh, and you're to fear him and obey his mitzvot, Shema, and listen, take heed to what he's talking about, serve him and cling to him. And that prophet or dreamer is to be put to death. Nobody likes that. Because he urged rebellion against Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim and redeemed you from a life of slavery. In order to seduce you away from the path Yahweh, your Elohim, ordered you to follow. What's the path? The laws, the statutes, and the commandments, which is the Torah. This is how you are to rid the community of this wickedness, by putting them to death. If your brother, the son of your mother, your son, your daughter, your wife, whom you love, your friend, who means so much to you as yourself, secretly tries to entice you to go and serve other gods, which you haven't known, neither you nor your ancestors. Not only you don't suppose to know them, but your ancestors. Did Abraham, Yaakov, Yitzchak, or any of them ever serve any other God? No. No, they didn't. Gods of the people surrounding you. So now we got the other clue. The gods of the people surrounding you. Oh, so I'm going to send you to the lands and scattered you. When you get there, you're going to serve their gods. Do you see what Yah's saying? I'll put you in a position to find out if you really do love me. Because when you're in the place that you are, you got to make a choice whether or not you're going to do what I said, or you're going to continue to follow the other gods in their recipe and subscribe to their way of life and dress like them, think like them, act like them, party with them, celebrate with them, marry them. Listen to this. 7, gods of the people surrounding you. whether near or far away from you, anywhere in the world. You're not to consent. You are not to give consent. You are not to listen to him, and you must not pity him or spare him. You may not conceal him. Rather, you must kill him. This is serious. Your own hand must be the first on him and putting him to death, and afterwards the hands of all the people. And that him there is talking about your brother, the son of your mother, your son in verse 6, your daughter, your wife, anybody that tries to get you to turn against me secretly. You drag them out and you bring them out and you do not spare them, because the goal is this is how you're going to rid the community of this wickedness. This community is a closed community. It's not open for everybody to come in. It's not open. You come to the community, you're in the community. You don't bring these people in here that are not loyal to Yah. Who are we to tell Yah who should be part of the community and the family? These individuals that he mentioned, which is your brother, your son, your daughter, your wife, your best friend, doesn't matter who it is. They made a choice to secretly try to entice you to go serve other gods that you haven't known, neither your ancestors, whether it's here, far, near, away, or anywhere in the world. These are Yahweh's words. They're not my words. They're his words. He's telling us what it is. He wants to share with us what it is. Yah loves his people. Now we're going to talk about the Mishkan. This week is about a Torah portion called Terumah. Terumah. Okay? Te means you. Rum means to rise, and Ah means of a feminine type of spirit. Terumah. One who's given himself to exalt and to give oneself and to lift up something to Yahweh. He wants to build what they would call a Mishkan, a place of his dwelling, a place where there will be the Ark of the Covenant, a place where there's a menorah, a place where there's the showbread. You read it, and you heard all these different parts of the articles and furniture, and the bronze and the silver and the gold and the tekeleth and the purple, the argamon and the white linen and the fine linen is woven together, the goat's hair and the badger skin and the claps and the holes and the curtains and the veils and all these things. You heard all those things. And you're like, well, what does all this mean? Why is all this so important? How am I supposed to get anything out of this Torah portion? Because we don't have a Mishkan. We don't have a place that we could go with the Holy One of Israel. It's gotten so bad now that people here in California, New York, all over the place are saying that this is Yah's Mishkan. This is his sanctuary. And I'm going to show you today that that's a lie. People claim that Yahweh's name is on the building and nothing can happen to anybody in that building and nothing can happen in that building. And guess what? A lot of stuff happened in that building. People can never get sick. They got sick. Never get COVID, got COVID. You understand? Got feces around the building, drugs, needles, everything. I've seen it with my own eyes. All over the place, not just in one place, all over the place. People defecating outside of the building, urinating, and they say that that's where Yahweh's name is. And that you should come there and support that. They break out your windows, but you want someone to pay the insurance on it. They want you to help them pay for it out of your hard-earned money. So because you think Yahweh's name is there. You think that place is holy and kadosh and set apart. They got you believing that. That's how desperate Yahweh's people are, is that they're willing to accept what some filthy human being would say about what Yahweh's name is. Woo! Our Torah portion begins in chapter number 25. Yah says this statement: they are to make me a mikdash. I put it in the Hebrew word because I wanted you to understand what the name of this place is called. Okay. It's called a mikdash. Okay. So you say, well, I see the difference right here. If I'm not mistaken, I see this word over here called Mishkan. And this one is not Mishkan, this is Mikdash. So Yahweh says that I want them to make me a Mikdash. Interesting. So that I might live with them. That's the goal. Shemot 25. Somebody tell me what Shemot means.
Name.
The names. And your names are what? What's your name? It's your character.
Your character.
Yes. So your character is going to tell you, God's going to about to tell us about his character. Yah's been trying to build Israel's character up, and now he's about to show them his character. And you and I are about to see what Yah's character is. Yah's whole intention, I want you to hear me and hear me well. Yah's intention is for Israel, okay, for them to understand that he wants them to be with him. I want to live among them. That's the goal. That's the reason I'm asking you to make me a mikdash. That's the reason why, because I have an intention for you. Okay. Then this is very, very special. I want to give you kind of like a warning. You're going to hear some things that you've never heard before, and it's going to probably disturb you in your spirit, in your soul. You're going to get disturbed. You're going to feel uncomfortable. But the purpose of this is to make you feel uncomfortable so you can make some changes and make some adjustments. Okay. It's not personal. Do not take what I'm saying personal. This is not a personal attack on you. This is not a personal attack from me to you. This is not an attack on Yahweh's people. This is not attacking us. Yahweh is going to tell us the truth. And I know that you want to hear it. I know that you want to hear the truth. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you the truth. Mikdash is what they would call set apart or consecrated and to be sanctified. It's a place when he says that I want them to make me a what? A mikdash. I want them to make me a place that's set apart. I want them to consecrate this place, and I want it to be sacred and sanctified. I don't want it to be like any other place. Okay. And my mikdash is my dwelling. Okay. My place where I want. Okay. But I'm going to have you make this mikdash, okay, the set apart place. But the set apart place is really called the Mishkan. Okay, the Mishkan is what they would call the dwelling, the home, the dwelling, the residence, and the abode. It comes from this word called shakan. Okay, and that's what it means. It means a home. But Yahweh's home has to be what we call mikdash. See, the mikdash is the set apartness. The Mishkan is the place where he dwells. So Yah's letting them know, I want you to make me a set apart place so that I might live with them. The set apart place is the consecrated place, which is the mikdash. But my home is called a Mishkan. See, so my home has to be set apart. My dwelling is set apart. My residence, where I'm going to live, is going to have to be mikdash. The mikdash is the set apartness. The Mishkan is my home. Okay, so you're going to hear these words. That's why I'm defining them. Okay, so Mishkan is my home. Mikdash is how I want my home to be. I want my home to be mikdash. I want my home to be set apart. There's another word that's used, and I didn't get a chance to do a final count, But this word is used over 50 times. I know that for sure in this in particular Torah portion. Okay, it's called asah. And asah means to make or to do. Okay, so this is what he asked him to do. When we look again at the word here, to make, it is to asah. I need them to do, okay, and make an asah, a set apart place, okay, which would be my Mishkan, where I dwell. I know everyone can wrap their mind around it. The only reason why sometimes it gets delayed in terms of understanding is because you're not familiar with these words. That's why I have to introduce these words to you, okay? So now that we know what that is, an asah is to do and to make, okay, or to make or do. Yah tells us that before they do anything, before anyone was to ever asah anything, before we do or make anything, okay, as we read earlier about him saying that you will do my commandments. Remember, I told you to observe, observation. The word asah is used for observation. That means to do what I told you, my commandments. Yah's letting us know about his character. He's saying, if you're going to do anything for me, then you're going to have to be nadav. This word nadav right here has to do with the idea of having a willingness. Okay. That means that you cannot have any hesitation about doing what he said. If there's anything in you that's like, kind of like, don't want to do it, Yah says that if you're not nadav. And nadav is really directly connected to a type of people. Nobility. Okay. So following the creator, doing what he asks us to do requires for us to be nadav, which means that you and I have to have this characteristic of nobility. We're a group of people that are belong to a noble class in a country, especially those in an hereditary or an honorary title. Those who are thinkers and the people who do the things that Yah was asked them to do, they always have to deal in nobility because Yahweh is royal. He's royal. And the people that he wants part of his family, which is called a priesthood, a community, they're going to have to be royal, but they're also going to have to be very noble in their thinking and in their giving and in their doing. Okay. And this is where we have a problem because you and I have no hereditary or honorary title. We don't see ourselves as a group of nobility. We don't see ourselves as a group. We see ourselves as individuals that are trying to have a come up. Okay. We only look at what we're doing individually. Okay, but we're not thinking community. But we don't understand that we have to start thinking more like community. We have to start thinking about what's going to be good for the community. Your community can be your home, okay, your resting place. It could be your Mishkan, because you can have a Mishkan too. You have a Mishkan, and your Mishkan should be Mikdash as well. It surely can. You can have a place for you and your family where they would understand that this is how we operate here. Okay, so Yah is saying, because you guys didn't do this when you were in the land and because you didn't have this type of attitude towards me, I'm going to redevelop this character in you when I scatter you to the places where I've scattered you. And anybody who wants to do this, they have to have a willingness about them. They have to be nadav. You and I can never go any further. If this is not where it's at, if you and I are not going to have this type of mindset, then you can forget about doing anything for the Holy One of Israel. That's what he's saying. I don't want anything from anybody that doesn't have this type of attribute, this type of quality about themselves, okay, which is willingness. That's where you show your nobility, okay, when you think about it, all right? So we're a different social class of people, and they've taken this away from us. So we don't know this. We don't know that we have an honorary title. Somebody tell me, what's the honorary title for the children of Israel? What's our name? I just told it to you. Yisrael. That's an honorary title. He gives us another way called Yesharum. That's an honorary, that's our nickname. Then Yesharum means the upright one. He's upright. He's the righteous one. Okay. That's what Yah calls us. Okay. So we have this title, we have this hereditary right, and we have an honorary title that matches that of our fathers. And our fathers are Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. When Yah came to Abraham, he told him that your wife Sarah is going to bring forth kings and princes and princesses. You can find that. I think it's in Genesis chapter number 17. Okay. You understand? Of a royal family, royal law. Okay. That's who we are. And we have failed to understand this. But the only way that this nobility can come to a person is through the teaching of the Torah. See, this is not something that can be developed on one's own. You have to have something to change your way of thinking. Okay. And I'll take a little pause right here. A little pause. Let me pause this right here to share and go over here and show you something right quick. Cool. I just told you something and I want to back it up. Okay. If it does come from within, it has to be nurtured. Okay. And this is what it's going to be. Psalms 19 says this. And we're going to read right here in verse number 7. It says, the Torah of Yahweh is perfect, and it restoring the inner person. It restores the inner person. That's what the Torah does. The Torah of Yahweh is perfect. It restoring the inner person. So if you want to have your inside done and restored and brought back to its original state, and one that it can be, noble and one of a willingness, you need the Torah in order for that to happen. And this is what people are forfeiting. So these are the family members that don't want to listen. And of course, he says, if you don't listen to Torah, your prayer is an abomination. If they won't listen to the Torah in its perfection, they'll never have their inner person restored. Never. Okay. The instruction, which is the Torah of Yahweh, is sure. It's making wise the thoughtless. So you're going to start thinking differently. The precepts of Yahweh are right to rejoice in the heart. The commandment of Yahweh is pure. It's enlightening the eyes. The fear of Yahweh is clean, enduring forever. The rulings of Yahweh are true, and they are righteous altogether. They're more desirable than gold, more than fine gold. They're sweeter than the honeycomb or the drippings from the honeycomb. You understand? So that's what Yah gets us to understand about the restoration of our inner person and our soul. The Torah does that. And that was in Psalms 19. Nadav has this idea, again, like I said, of being noble. You're noble men and noble women. Both, male and female. You're literally like a master class of people. You're always in a leadership role. Yah has called Israel to be the chief among the nations. You have to be superior. And that comes from the Torah. It comes from the Torah. The nations know that the Torah is great and they understand it. They know they're going to know it because of how people's lives are changed. Okay. It's superior. It's like a monarch. It's like a kingship, a family of monarchs. And this is who Yah chose us to be. And with that, it comes a lot of responsibility. As said and spoken earlier, during the week, teruma means to lift, to raise, and elevate and ascend. That's what it means. More specifically, the root of this word is room, and that's what it is. And that word is to rise, okay, to be lifted up. So in order for us, I asked Yah, I said, you know what, Yahweh, what is this Torah portion really trying to get at? And through the study, I found out that it's about us lifting up him. It's about elevating him. And I want you to hear me and hear me well. When I talk about lifting him up, raising him up, elevating, ascending, that means that you and I are going to have to, in order to do this, In order for us to lift him up and raise him up and to elevate him, you and I cannot stay, listen to me, our minds cannot remain low. They have to go high. Your thoughts are going to have to be elevated. They got to shoot up. You have to ascend. You have to ascend. You have to think higher. You got to be a high-minded person. In order to fall in line with the idea and the character of nobility and being a nobleman or a noble woman, you and I are going to have to elevate. You can't elevate Yah when you remain low in your thinking. This is the reason why he asked them for the offerings that he asked them for. Somebody tell me what he asked them for. Give me some of the things that he asked for. Where's some of the things? What did he ask them for when they brought the offerings? What did he want them to give to him?
Gold and silver.
He said, I need some gold and I want some silver and I want some precious stones. Okay. I want something precious. I want some precious wood. I want the gold and the silver and all the bronze, right? I want all these things to be purified. I need it to be the highest quality. Okay. And everything that I'm asking you for, the caliph, the purple and all these things, the precious stones, everything I've asked you for, I gave it to you. I already put it in your hands when you left Egypt. You were a slave that didn't have anything, and then I made you wealthy. That's my goal. My goal is to restore you. But the relationship consists of me giving you something and then wanting to see what you're going to do with it. Okay. So today, you and I don't have any gold, silver, bronze, and precious stones and wood and none of these types of things. But what do we have that we can elevate and that we can lift and we can raise to Yahweh besides our hands and those things? What can we lift up to him?
Our mind.
Voice.
There you go. Mind, your voice. Praise the Holy One of Israel. You see, your mind, your voice. Okay. Your mind is your thoughts. Giving him time, giving him the space in your mind and your thoughts. You can lift that up to Yah. You can give him your voice. And you can do that through prayer. And you can do that through song. And you can do that through hymns. You can do that in all different types of ways. You can do that in all sorts of ways. You can tell, and you can give him thanks all the time. Tell him how much you thank him. That's the Todah Rabbah we've been talking about. Okay. Also, too, you could give Yahweh your time. That's what it takes. It takes time. Give him your time. Give him the best part of your day. Don't give him the worst part of your day. Give him the best part of your day. Give him the first of your time. You know, you can give that to him. You can lift. You see, this is what I'm talking about in terms of lifting, raising, and elevating and having to ascend. It's not to make us feel bad. It's just trying to let us know what a person has to do in order to do the terumah, in order to rise. You can't lift Yahweh up if you're always down. You can't. When I talk about you being down, I don't mean like, well, you're just depressed. What I'm saying is that you have to change this motion, this idea of being, low class. You're low thinker. You're low class. You have no expectations. You're just like everybody else. You're like the rest of the nations that it don't take no time to lift Yahweh up at all whatsoever. Okay. We don't want that. We're a different type of people. I realized during the Torah portion, and I began to weep when I thought about this. I'm talking about I boo-hooed. I cried. All he wants is for us to look at him the same way that he looks at us. Let that sink in. He wants us to look at him the same way he looks at us. This is what he said to me. How does he look at us? He looks at us, he's esteemed us. He's chosen us over everything and everybody. He loves us. He has high regard for us and our ancestors. More specifically, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. He's done everything he's done because of how much he loved them. And he kept a promise to them and spoke to them and built a relationship with them. The relationship, it can't be one-sided. So when he wants us to look at him the same way he looks at us. And he's going to test us to find out if in true indeed, if we do look at him the same way. And how do we show him that we look at him the same way he understands us and judges us? By our actions and by our behaviors and by the manner of life and our conduct. Yahweh says, I love you. I love you. That's what he wants us to know. He's not trying to make us feel bad. He's not trying to guilt trip us into loving him. He wants us to look at him the same way he looks at us. I love you. You say, why are you laughing? Because I understand it now. I love you. You ask, well, how do you show us your love? Yahweh answers, Esau was Yaakov's brother. Meaning what? I chose Yaakov. I love you. And this is how I let you know that I know you had a brother that came out before you did. And yet I loved you. I want you to feel the same way about me that I feel about you. That's all. Because you are a people set apart as holy for Yahweh, your power. Holy. That word right there is called kadosh. This pen would work. Here you go. That word right here, set apart, holy. There's no word in Hebrew for called holy. Here is it. It's called Kadosh. That's what it is. Either be Quo, Desh, or Qua, Dash. Depends on how you use it. But it's still the Quaf, the Dalet, and the Shin. Kaf, the Dalet, and the Shin. You see? Dun, dun. Same thing. That's what I'm asking you to be. I've decided that you are a people for me to be. Somebody say it. Quo. Dash. That's what I called you to be for me. I'm your power. Yahweh, your power has chosen you out of all the peoples on the face of the earth to be his own unique treasure. I want you to know that I chose you out of all the peoples on the face of the earth to be his own unique treasure. Because I want you to look at me the same way that I look at you. I want you to feel exactly the same way. If we're married and you had an agreement with your husband, I don't want you to love me any less than how much I love you. I want that to be reciprocated. If I gave you some jewels and I put some gold on you, some silver and some precious stones, and I asked you to give me some of it to me, I want you to be able to give it to me with a nadav, libo. I want your mind to be open to, with no reluctancy and no resistance, because I want you to look at me the same way that I look at you, because you're a treasure to me. So if you're my own people and I chose you, I need you to decide whether or not you're going to choose me. That's why I sent you out to be scattered to the four corners of the earth to be under the other gods. Because now I want to find out if you really do love me, like I told you in Deuteronomy 13, to find out if you really do love me with all of your heart and with all of your soul. And I'll know that you love me by your actions and your manner of life and your conduct, whether or not you will listen to me. Because of all the families on the earth, only you have I intimately known. You're the only one that I've ever spoken to. You're the only one who's ever seen my fire, and I spoke to you out of fire. You're the only one that I came and took out of another nation. You're the only one I've ever given my instructions in Torah to. You're the only family. You can look it up in Psalms 147, verse number 18, 19, I believe. It tells you that I have not done so with any other nation. Matter of fact, let's do that. Let's don't talk about it. Let's go look for it. Let's go see if that's what he said. Let's see it. We're in Psalms. It won't hurt to go there, would it? Let's go see if that's true. Let's go see if it's true. And guess what? It is. Verse number 19. He reveals his words to Yaakov. That's what he's done. He has revealed his words to Yaakov, his laws, which is Kukim, and his Mishpatim, which is his rulings to Israel. He has not done this for other nations. They do not know his rulings. I don't know anybody else but you. I haven't talked to anyone else but you. Have you talking to somebody else besides me? Have you given your mind and your heart to someone else? I haven't talking to anyone else, but you have. But we've been intimate. We have had our relationship. You have opened yourself to me, and I've exposed myself to you. My intimacy here is meaning that I know you. I know you, which they would call in Hebrew called yada. Yada means to know. And that means in a very intimate way, like a husband knows his wife. No other man knows a man's wife and should not know a wife like a husband knows his own wife. Y'all saying it, I don't know anybody else but you, because I've been faithful to you, but you have been unfaithful to me. But this is why I will punish you for all your crimes. Because what you would call sin, Yah says that they're crimes. All your crimes will be punished. Because I don't let anyone who commits crimes get away. And that includes my wife and my children. You don't have special preference like that I'll allow you to kill the innocent, and then you get to walk away free. Okay? That doesn't happen. Here's what Yahweh, the Redeemer of Israel, his Holy One, says to the one despised. Person who's despised, whom the nations detest, the servant of tyrants. You and I are despised. Oh, what is going on? Sorry about that. Something happened with the. Where do you go? You and I are the despised ones. The nations hate Israel. Okay. They detest you because you're a servant of tyrants. You're not my servant right now. You're the servant of tyrants. But I have to tell you something. When kings see you, they will stand up, and princes will too, will prostrate themselves, because Yahweh, who is faithful. Remember, I told you I know you. You've been disloyal and unfaithful to me. I've been faithful to you, the Holy One of Israel, who has chosen you. Why the kings are going to do this when they see you? When I lift you up, when I bring you back, when I make all the nations know who you are, Because right now they don't know, because you're despised, because you're detested, and because you're serving them, tyrants. But after I'm finished doing what I'm doing, then these kings will see you. Because I'm going to glorify myself through you, because I chose you. Why? Because I'm the one who's faithful. I'm the one who's keeping the covenant. I'm the Holy One, and I'm the one who's chosen you. Because you're the only ones that I know. You're the only people I know. And you're the only people I'm going to do this for. Yahweh said to Moshe, speak to the entire community of Israel and tell them, you people are to be Kodashim. Okay. There's that word, Kodashim. Kof, Dalit, and Shin. And then the Eem right here is plural. Okay. You are to be the Kodashim. Somebody tell me what Kodashim means. What does this word mean? Kodesh. What does Kodesh mean? Set apart. So you're going to be the set apart ones, because I, Yahweh, your power, am Kodosh. What I'm asking you to be and to do, and I'm talking to the entire community of Israel, is you need to tell them that you are people who are to be set apart. Because I am Yahweh, your Elohim, I'm set apart. I'm set apart from all other gods. And I'm set apart from everything. And if you're going to be my people, you have to be set apart. You have to be Kodashim. You have to be Kodashim in your thinking. You got to be Kodashim in your eating. You got to be Kodashim in your dressing. You got to be Kodashim in your speaking. You got to be this way. And that was the deal. That's part of the contract. Okay. And it's right here in Vayikra, chapter number 19, verse 1 through 2. I'm building this case to let you know that Yahweh is telling us something, speaking to us. He's telling us what it is, what his expectations are. So when he tells us to build, I need you to build a Mishkan, it's because I'm about to dwell with you. That's where this word Mikdash comes from. Remember, the first slide says, tell them to build me a Mikdash so I can Mishkan. Okay. So the place that I want to live has to be a Mikdash. The Mishkan has to be Mikdash. It has to be consecrated, it has to be set apart. But I can't be set apart, and my place can't be set apart. And then everyone who lives around me is filthy and being dogs and being cheaters and liars and whores. I don't need that. Not in our community. Because I'm going to live among you, because I told you that's my desire to do, is to live among you. Okay. That's why I'm asking you to do what I'm asking you to do. Okay. But listen what he says in Vayikra 26:11. I will put my Mishkani. I will put Mishkani among you. Mishkan here again is right here. Mishkan right here. Mishkan. Mishkan again is a dwelling. I will put my home. Okay. I put this word Mishkani because that I right there on the end of that word means my. Okay. So if I say, there's a word called shlukan. The shlukan is a table. As soon as I put that I on it, shlukani, that means my table. Okay. Shlukan is table. And the I right here is my table, shlukani. If I got a mishkan, I said mishkani, my dwelling. Okay. If I say your heart is your lave, right? Then Yahweh tells you that your heart is a lave. L-A-V. Lav. Okay. Lavi. That means my heart. Your nefesh. If I say nefesh, that's my soul. As soon as I say nefeshi, my soul. You see? So that's the reason why I put that there, so you can see. I will put Mishkani, my Mishkan, among you, and I will not reject you. So the idea here is if Yah puts his Mishkani, right, the Mishkani among you, then he's saying I haven't rejected you. So in connection to rejection is a connection to the Mishkan. So the Mishkan is my home. My home is among you. Then I won't reject you. Question. Is there a Mishkani right now? Is there a Mishkan that you and I is that we can go to?
No.
No. So at this moment, Yah hasn't received us. Okay. And I'm going to show you that this is the connection. The Mishkan, the Teruma, is to get us right, to prepare to go to be with Yah so we can be in his presence. When he's with the children of Israel, the centerpiece of their life and their existence is when he's with them. That's the piece that he's trying to show us. Like if he's with us, then his Mishkan is with us. If his Mishkan is with us, then the priesthood is with us. If his Mishkani is with us, then the kingship is there. There's order and there's set apartness and there's teaching. Okay. So there's a direct correlation between the Mishkan and him rejecting us. Because he says, I'm going to put it among you. Remember, he says, my desire is that I will live among you. Remember, I don't want you to forget that I want to live among you, right? Again, the Shekan, which is the Mishkan, is the home and the dwelling. I want you to know that, okay? Still in that same Vayikra 26 and 11 and 12, now here he goes, but I will walk among you. So when the Mishkan is there, it's not like he's just there and he sits in there and he just doesn't do anything. He says, I'm going to walk among you. I'm going to walk among you. This is the reason why I need the camp to be clean. This is the reason why I need the people who have, type of diseases and stuff to be put out. This is the reason why no one who touches the dead can have to, they got to go outside the camp. Because I'm going to walk among you. If his Mishkan is among us, that means he's walking among us. And you will be my people. So there's a connection between the Mishkan and him being with us and dwelling with us and walking with us. There's a question. What book good question. Vayikra, and I did put that on purpose so people could ask that question because I want to wrap your mind. Oh, what happened? So I can wrap our minds. Let's see. Vayikra is the book of, I got to get back out of here. Vayikra is the book of what they would call Leviticus. Called Leviticus. Okay. Leviticus is Vayikra. That's the book. Okay. There you go. Oh, here you go. It's loading up. Sorry. All right. So Vayikra is Leviticus. Okay. And what it means is and he and a kara is called. And what he's saying is Yah is talking, he's talking to through this book they call Leviticus. He's more specifically talking to the Leviim in there, telling them, well, this is the things that I need you to do and to teach the children of Israel, because you guys are going to be the people that are going to be the intermediator between me and them. So you're in charge of the Mishkan. So I'm letting you know what it's going to be. That's why I told you to tell the children of Israel that I'm holy. And if you're going to be around me, you got to be a certain way. Okay. That answers that question. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Let's see here. Oh, let me see, back it up. Okay, here you go. It's a little slow. All right. So now that we know that I'm going to walk among you, you're going to be my people. Now we understand that I'm Yahweh, your power, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim so that you would not be their slaves. I have broken the bars of your yoke so that you can walk upright. The whole purpose of us being brought out of the slavery was for the idea of us not to be their slaves anymore, but we are Yahweh's slaves. And that's in Vayikra 25. But he wants us to walk uprightly. Okay. So broken bars of yokes and yokes are literally like the burdens of your oppressors. Okay. I got to take that off of you. and the burdens of them are all the ways of their way of life. So right now, you and I are under the burdens and we're under the yoke of the people who have kidnapped us and captured us, and therefore we're under their way of life. And Yah says that that's not going to be the case. So right now we're finding out that it's hard for us because we want to do what Yah wants us to do. We have this desire to walk upright, right? But yet and still, we still have this yoke on our neck. Yah says, I got to remove and break this yoke because now we put ourselves under a yoke of, again, he says, your crimes have caused this for you, that this is the reason why you got a yoke on your neck, but I'm coming to break it. I'm coming to break the yoke off your neck. That's what I'm coming to do. Right. And that's in Ezekiel. That's a whole nother study. I'm coming to break the bars of the yoke off your neck because this yoke right here does not allow you to walk uprightly. So he's telling us, don't feel so bad about the fact that you can't do everything I'm asking you to do. I sent you there to find out if you just had the heart and the nadav to do it. That's why you're there. You're there to be tested to find out if you're of noble character. You're there to find out whether or not you're going to listen to what I say. You're there to find out if I'm your only Elohim. See, I know that you love me when you try to do everything you possibly can do, as I said. Within here, he says to Moshe, order the people of Israel to expel from the camp everyone who was Zazarat, everyone with the discharge and whoever's unclean because of the touching of a corpse. I'm giving these examples because I'm trying to show you that you and I cannot live among Yahweh when we have disease. We can't live among him when there's discharge, and we cannot be in his presence when we're unclean. There's no way possible. Yah tells them to expel them from the camp because Yahweh lives in the camp. In this same chapter, he tells them if a man was out in the camp and he had a similar mission, got to be separated, got to be outside the camp. You got to be outside the camp. So why is Yah putting people out of the camp? He's putting them out of the camp not because of touching a dead body, that's part of life. Discharge, that happens. But once this happens, you're called unclean. You got to go. Anyone who has a skin issue, this is in your skin, which causes discharge. You got to go. You're unclean. So nothing unclean can be in Yahweh's presence. Well, what does this all have to do in the Mishkan? Well, because if I'm with you, and you're these people, I'm telling you, you got to get them out of the camp because I'm in the camp. Yah's making a distinction and a clear distinction between himself and us and telling us about his character. He's saying even both male and female, you must expel. I don't care who they are. Put them outside the camp so that they won't defile their camp where I live among you. I live among you. So right now, when Yah tells us that we're profane and we're unclean, is he telling the truth? Good. Yeah, you're not unclean forever. No. There's a certain time that you're unclean. And you have to go through the process of being made to be cleansed. But the goal is, or the understanding here is to look at the distinction between Yah's holiness and ours and letting us know like how holy he really is. That he can't live among a people that are oozing discharge. He can't have a man that just, had a wet dream. He can't be around. He got to go outside the camp. If you had to go use the bathroom in the latrine, you got to go outside. I don't want none of that around me. Because he's letting us know that I'm not a human being. I'm not like you. You thought I was like you. I'm not like you. I'm different than you. Okay. Look at what he says. Yahweh, your Elohim, moves about in your camp to rescue you and hand you over your enemies over to you. Therefore, your camp must be kadosh, a kadosh place. You shouldn't see anything indecent among you, or he'll turn from you. That includes the bowel movement. You got to go. Anything unclean among you, I can't be around you. Nothing indecent among you. This means a higher level of kadosh, which comes from this word mikdash. That's still a part of it. So you see, the mikdash is the set apart, consecrated, sanctified place of the Mishkan, where what they would call a tabernacle. Okay? His dwelling, His dwelling has to be like this. It has to be this all the time. And because we're his people, you and I have to adopt these ways, like he told us in Vayikra, Leviticus chapter number 19, verses 1 through 2. I'm asking you to be this. Okay. And it has another special, it has a meaning too of that being special. So what can you and I do right now to be set apart, consecrated, and sanctified in Mikdash? Okay. We can adopt these things. For example, me knowing the Hebrew language, I know that this first part of this word mih right here means who. That's what this word means. If you just say mih, just like that, M-I, like that, in Hebrew, it means who. Who is set apart. That's what Mikdash means. Who is set apart? Yah is set apart. So you and I have to be set apart. We have to be consecrated. That's what we have to do. And that's something a lot of people don't want to do. How can you do it? We do it through teruma. We do it by lifting up towards Yahweh. We do it by elevating our minds and ascending towards him in our thinking. If we know that he's holy, then we have to adopt the ways of holiness, the best way that we know how. We got to get involved. Just like they did in the Mishkan, when he said, build me a Mikdash, which is a set apart place for my dwelling, which is my Mishkan. He asked them for an offering and of a willingness, and they said, here it is. They got involved. You got to get involved. And how do you get involved? You have to get involved with Yahweh's plans. Yahweh has intention and plans for his people. We're not just randomly here for no reason. You're here to get involved. You're here to find out whether or not you want to do this or not. You're here to find out whether or not you want to be holy or not. You got to be supportive. You got to be supportive to Yahweh's plans. What is his plan? When he asked them for the offering, he said, this is what I want them to build for me. This is what I want them to do. And the people who had a willing heart and a willing mind and were willing to do the cheruma and willing to ascend are the ones who were supportive to the cause and supportive to the endeavor. We need to be more supportive, not only to one another, but be supportive to Yahweh's cause, Yahweh's plans. We have to be responsive. It's not enough to say that we want to do something. We have to respond in the same kind. That's what we have to do. But we find that, we're finding it difficult because we live in a place of exile that you say, well, I don't know how to do this, to show respect and regard and recognition to his cause. I would suggest to you that studying and coming to Torah and Torah portions and reading and getting to know the language is all part of this being set apart. If you have regard and you have respect towards Yahweh and you give him recognition for what he's done, then you would teruma. You find a way to lift him up. You'll find a way to elevate to him. Okay. Yahweh's intention is to come and live with us, but even him coming down doesn't mean that he's lowering the standard. The expectations are always going to be high. But what do? I put some words here because this is how, when in my study, he said, this is what you guys have done. And this is when I really began to cry. When I realized that his whole intention was for us to treat him and look at him and view him the way that he looks at us. And he said, well, you guys have betrayed me. You've betrayed me. You have profaned me. You have insulted me. You've degraded me. You've hated me. You shamed me. You disrespected me. You have withdrawn yourself away from me. Your ancestors withheld everything that I told them to tell you. They lied to me. They put this chasm between us, this distance between us. They've ignored my voice. They pay no attention to my words. They take no notice of anything that I told them to do. They show indifference to me. and been very, very careless. They've showed a lot of carelessness when it comes to what I say. But they do everything that their boss tells them. They do everything that their job tells them. They do everything that their landlord tells them. They do everything that their friend tells them. They do everything that their boyfriend tells them. They tell them everything, but they have no regard for me. They've been unsupportive to what my goal is and desire is. Lack of concern and consideration for the holy things in which I gave to you. Total negligence and dereliction of duty. We have abandoned the post and haven't done what he said. We have been nothing but a total disgrace and a total disappointment to the one and true living Elohim. Because you and I have not seen him how he sees us. We haven't reciprocated. We haven't given him back that which is due to him. We haven't elevated him, giving him thanks and praise for who he is. We haven't really truly said that I'm sorry for these things, that I haven't recognized your great power and your love towards me. I've put everything and everybody before you. Even into this day, I've replaced your words with my emotions and what I think is right, when you've already told me what is right and what's wrong. And instead of me listening to you, I want to take the counsel of the ungodly and walk in the way of sinners and sit in the seat of the scornful and not take delight in the Torah and not meditate it on day and night. I don't want to be like the tree planted by the rivers of water to bring forth its fruit in its season. But I'd rather be like the wicked who will wither away, or like the chaff which the wind drives away. I don't want to be able to stand up in the judgment. I'd rather die with the wicked. And then I want to make excuses for them on why they did not do what you said, like as if it was difficult and it was hard because of who everybody did something to them. No, we have betrayed him and we have profaned his holy name. And he tells us this, and he over and over and over again. But listen what he says. In spite of everything that we've done to him, in closing, he says this: I will make a covenant of shalom with them. An everlasting covenant. Shalom means peace. It's everlasting. It means it's going to be perpetual forever and ever and ever. I will give to them and increase their numbers and set my mikdash among them forever. My mikdash, again, is my sanctuary, which is my set apart place. When I make covenant of shalom with them. When my mikdash is with them, this time it's going to be shalom. Because now I know that they love me. We're not going to do all again what we did before. I'm not going to bring you out to bring you to a land what I promised your ancestors for you to get there, when I already told you that if you, the wicked, won't learn what justice is by showing pity. I'm not showing pity to anybody. I'm not. This is your time. This is your opportunity. I've waited literally thousands of years to be able to fulfill the promise that I made to your father. And I'm not going to wait for you any longer. Now it's time for you to step up, to do a teruma, and it's time for you to elevate. It's time for you to go to the next level. If you want to stay on the ground floor level, and you don't want to elevate me, and you don't want to ascend towards me and ascend to a higher understanding of what life is about, you stay where you are and die with everybody else. My Mishkan will be with them. It's right here. 26 says, I'm going to make a covenant, and guess what? I'm going to set my mikdash. Here he tells us in the same chapter, following verse, Mishkan, my dwelling place, will be with them, and I will be their power, and they will be my people. I recognize you as my people when my Mishkan, which has been mikdash, is among you. When my set apart dwelling is among you, then they will be my people. Because now you and I are in community together. Now you and I have peace together because you decided that you're going to see me like I see you. You decided that you're going to reciprocate. You decided that you're going to be willing. You decided that you're going to be high-minded. You decided that you're going to be noble. You decided that your character and your responsibility of leading this world is what you want to do. You want to do you want to be part of my pattern, and you want to execute my plans for the world. I got the whole world on hold because you don't want to do it. That's not going to be the case forever. The nations will know that I am Yahweh, who sets Israel as apart as Kadosh, when my Mikdash is with them forever. That's when the nations will know that I'm Yahweh. That's when they'll know that I'm set Israel apart as being Kadosh. Kodesh, Kadosh, Kodash. Set apart, sanctified. When my Mikdash or Mikwadesh here, I put it in its proper translation, Mikwadesh, which means my dwelling is with them forever. The Mishkan is very important. The Mishkan is to let us know that Yahweh says that it has to be Mikwadesh. It has to be set apart. If my Mishkan is set apart, my people have to be set apart because I am set apart. You need to be set apart because I'm set apart. You need to be special because I'm special. You need to be sacred like I'm sacred. I'm joining you to me. You have to do what I ask you to do. You have to be who I'm asking you to be. And that's what this is about. Yes. That's deep. Yep. It does explain how he can hide his face from us. Yes. Because listen, Yahweh has decided a while ago that the Mishkan, in my dwelling place, has to be set apart. And I got to let this group of people know that I took out of slavery, that they're going to have to be set apart. If the Mishkan is not available and it's not around, then you should know that you and I are now set apart. You should know. When he tells you you're a servant of tyrants, you should know that you're in slavery. You're in captivity. But that doesn't give us the right or the excuse not to do what he says. The Mishkan is hand in hand with him being with us. So when these people out here are telling you that his place is in where they paying rent and lease and all this kind of stuff, okay, that's not his Mishkan. And because no one reverences him and they despise him, they would rather say that his temple and sanctuary is in this place, to give you a false sense of what the reality is. See, if they could get you off of the reality is that you're a captive. The reality is that you're in exile. The reality is while you're in exile, you're supposed to say you're sorry. And you're supposed to change your mind. And you need to stop thinking about who else is not doing it. He's not talking to you to figure out what you're going to do about your mother and your grandmother. It has nothing to do with them. They're not here hearing this message. You heard it. Don't stop trying to figure out what's going on with your friend. That has nothing to do with you and Yah. It has nothing to do with you and him. We need to focus on ourselves. If your children don't want to listen, so what? So what? Who cares? Because it's not about you and your kids. You could try to encourage them if you want to. They don't want to listen, fine. You're going to die. I know they don't want to hear this. But you got to be willing, listen, you got to be willing to take a side. The reason why the Levites were even chosen is because they were willing to kill their own family members who disrespected the Holy One of Israel. You just heard him say in Deuteronomy 13, your brother, your mother's son, your wife, your children, your son, your daughter, anybody, kill them. I don't care about what they're talking about because your loyalty to me is supposed to be greater than your loyalty to your own family. This is not a group project. If they don't do what he says, he's putting them to death. That's it. But that's why people choose Christianity, because the death package is put on one person. They say, well, he died for everything. We don't have nothing to worry about. That's not the case with Israel. The reality is the Elohim that you and I serve is a dreadful Elohim. He's dreadful. He comes in what they call Arafel, which is the darkest, deepest, blackest cloud that you ever seen in your life. That's showing up in thunder and lightning and a sound of a shofar, and the whole earth is going to move out of its place. That's who you're dealing with. The one who's asking you to love him or reciprocate is the one that go in and kill everybody that I tell you to kill, and don't leave nobody, nothing breathing, not even the animals. Some of us got a problem with that because we've been conditioned to think that righteousness and wickedness go hand in hand. Yah is telling us that I need you to prepare because I am coming. The only reason why I revealed my name to you is so I can show you who I am. I'm not telling you Yohe Wahe and brought it to your attention so you can go around for another 100 years and live where you're living and never do what I say. I promise to come and get you and deliver you. I promise you that I never forget the covenant. That's my mercy. I'm a dreadful Elohim. And if you don't like it, go serve a God that you love that's more comfortable with. Go serve a God that makes you feel better about yourself. And you could be an individual and it's not based on community anymore. You don't have to worry about how you live among other people. Go do that. Because if you're going to serve our Elohim, you and I are going to have to live in a certain manner. And we're going to have to be noble. We have to be willing. We have to be masters, leaders, teachers. You have to be willing at any given moment when he puts us back in that capacity to execute his judgment upon anybody that goes against him. That's what I loved about King David. That's what I love about him. He loved Yah to the point he didn't care about. He had so many enemies that he called out to Yah. He knew where his strength was. He loved him. And he understood that this is what it is. He prayed for the death of his enemies. He just said, destroy the wicked, get them off of the face of the earth. He didn't have no compassion for them. And neither should you. Anybody that's an enemy of the Holy One of Israel is an enemy of mine. I can't speak for you. I'll speak for myself. I'll say what David said. I hate those who hate you. I hate them with a hatred that is beyond comprehension. Because Yah has been fair and Yah has been just to humanity. And this is the reason why he wants to have a Mishkan with his people. The nations will know that I've set Israel apart as holy when I'm living among them. And that's his intention. That's his goal. So that was the Torah portion for this week, Terumah. We got some stuff out of it. We got about lifting him up, raising, ascending in our mindset. High quality. We got to be high quality thinkers. But more than anything, I want you to remember this today. Yahweh wants us to see him as he sees us. He sees us as being esteemed and loved and treasured. And if we start looking at him the way that he looks at us, then it would make a better relationship with us. And with that, I say Shabbat Shalom to you, and I open up for any statements or any questions or any contributions. Hallelujah.
I have one, I guess, chapter
Okay.
that I think would be a good addition to our Torah portion, since I try to read our Torah portion the other day, and this particular verse came up. So I just clicked on it and read it, and it's perfect for today. It's Micah chapter 1,
Okay.
verses.
Let's go there. I'm going to pull it up for everyone. Thank you for your contribution.
Sure.
I love it. Absolutely. So we're going to know Micah, and Micah means who is like Yah. Micah. 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 Who is like Yah. That's what it is. Micah what? Chapter what?
Chapter 1, verses 1 through 7.
1 through 7.
And you could read more, but those are, I think it's perfect for today.
Okay. So it says, this is the word of Yahweh that came to Micah, the Morshati. Okay. And during the days of Yotham, Akaz, and Kiziyahu, the kings of Yehuda, which he saw concerning Shamaron and Yerushalayim. These are the two capitals of Israel and Judah. He said, listen, peoples, all of you, pay attention, earth and everything in it. The master, Yahweh, Elohim, will witness against you, Yahweh, from his holy temple. For look, Yahweh is coming out of his place. He's coming down to tread on the high places of the land. And beneath him, the mountains will melt and the valleys will split open like wax before fire, like water poured down a steep slope. All this is because of the crime of Yaakov and the sins of the house of Israel. What is the crime of Yaakov? Isn't it Shamaron? And what are the high places of Yehuda? Aren't they Yerushalayim? So I will make Shamaron a heap in the countryside, a place for planting vineyards. I will pour her stones down into the valley, lying bare her foundations. All her carved images will be smashed to pieces, all she earned consumed by fire, and I will reduce her idols to rubble. She amassed them from a whore's wages, and as a whore's wages, they will be spent again. Hallelujah. Judgment. Judgment on Israel for not being faithful. Yah decides, I'm tearing everything down. Okay. That's what he's going to do. Yah burned down his own house. He burned down his own Mishkan. Told Shlomo, you guys ever go against me, I'm going to destroy this place. And he did. So if he's going to burn down his own house with his name on it, what do you think he's going to do to the earth? He's going to destroy it. Okay. And it's coming. Okay. I'm not, prophesying to anyone. I'm just telling you, I know from the Torah that Yahweh doesn't mention his name unless he's letting people know, is giving the heads up to let them know who he is, because he only gives his name out to reveal himself. And he gave his name to the children of Israel. And he said, this is my name forever, and this is how you'll know me. So, and he only revealed it to him right before he came and got them. And he used Moshe to reveal the name. So guess who's revealing the name? Moshe is revealing Yahweh's name to us. Now, I don't know if you guys have been up on the news or whatever, but guess what? There's trouble coming. There's a lot of trouble coming. I ain't talking just COVID. I'm talking about war. I'm talking about it can happen at any given moment. Okay. So Yah has plans, and we're part of his plan. It's not to throw fear at you, it's just to tell you this is what it is. And if you and I want to follow in the footsteps of our ancestors and continue to betray him and profane him and have no regard and disregard him, he said, I'm going to treat you exactly the same way that you treated me. That's what it is. The rebels will not go into the land. The only reason why he's coming back is because you and I have decided that we're going to do what he says, so he can fulfill the good promise that he made to our ancestors. That's it. Which is the land, which is descendants, and which is for us to be a light to the nations. Hallelujah. Anyone else?
Well, just one more thing, but it's not just coming, it's actually here, because local news or the news in the United States are not covering it unless something really big. But if you look at the world news all over the world, I see mountains, just things falling off the earth, the tsunami, the fire. It's already here, and I didn't understand, but now I do, that it's all because of Israel. And so that gives me peace, not fear.
Yes.
And they're blaming, and they're saying many news media or JC or Christians says, oh yeah, JC is coming, but now I know it's not. It's the judgment. So thank Yahweh.
Thank him. Praise him. Hallelujah. Praise the Holy One of Israel. Anyone else want to make a contribution? Contribution means that something popped in your head and said, oh, this would be something great to mention, that ties in to what he's talking about. If not, that's okay. I enjoyed our class today. And, I'm going to be doing our Hebrew class today at 4:00. If you'd like to join us, you can. If not, you have a beautiful rest part of your day, and get your rest and continue to seek out this Holy One and understand that, there's a high level. And he's calling us to think higher, to be higher. And therefore, by doing so, we terumah, we thank him, we elevate him, we ascend, and we give him praise and we give him thanks. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Praise be to the Holy One of Israel. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom, everybody.